Welcome, welcome. We're back for another guest roll. This is episode 4. Got a roll from Graham in Irvine, California. That's my second roll from California. I'm not trying to favor California, but that's just where they're coming from. Okay. I want to quickly just cover a couple of questions that I posted to my YouTube subscribers. Question 1. You wish Kodak would. The top response was bring back an older silver-rich black and white film. I approve of this. Wouldn't that be interesting? And then second place was get their color film prices down. I got 24 votes this time. That was better than the question before. I only got 8 votes. And maybe because not that many people have purchased a new item from Leica. But it was the last time you bought something new from Leica. What was your experience with it in terms of quality control? And 3 people said works as advertised, which means 5 of the 8 had either a minor or a major issue, including 2 people that said I had a major issue after the warranty expired. And I asked this, ironically, the same day that I asked the question first, and then later that day, I put my MP on a bench that was maybe 16, 18 inches off the ground. And it was, carpeted ground, right? It was inside. My son was trying on a pair of shoes in a shoe store, and I was trying to help him tie it, and the camera fell off the bench onto the carpet, and I thought it was fine. It was just like, oh, of course, yeah, it's fine. But my frame counter broke. It doesn't reset to -2 anymore. It resets to something random, but more in the middle. So, and my warranty has expired. I don't even know if warranty would cover that. But yeah, I'm going to try to not ask any more questions that get me into where the karma police come for me. Okay. Also, I now have, for this series, the guest roll series, I have 2 sponsors. Maybe even a third, but right now I've got 2. So the first sponsor of this series is Royal We Film Lab. Here are their black and white films, and today Graham sent in P3200. This lovely Kodak yellow box. And then the other sponsor of this series now is, no, not Kodak. Wouldn't that be great? OneLot Film Company, which he told me the tagline. The owner told me the tagline, and I'm maybe blanking on it. But it's something. I'll get it right next time. Sorry. But basically, this is a no compromises bulk loaded roll, right? You're getting a metal canister, you're getting the last frame, you're getting a good leader, you're getting fresh film, right? So it's something like I'll get it right next time. No compromises film. Okay. Now on to this week's episode. Oh, I also had I'm going to have an intro. I guess you've already seen it. So I'm not really a video editor, as you can tell. I'm not a focus puller, as you can tell. But I did want to add a little, right, we can call it like a rough draft of an intro to the guest roll series. So we'll see how it lands. Graham sent in a roll of P3200, and he warned me that This was a little bit of a, I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't scanned it, but he says he is either underwater, maybe swimming in the ocean, on the ocean. It's maybe nighttime. There's maybe a flash. I don't know. But he said basically that who knows how these pictures are going to turn out. And so I took that as an invitation to, I had to figure out how to develop this. And this is actually my first time to develop 3200 T-Max. So I'm looking forward to it. I came in here, right, with Xtol, right, undiluted. I basically can choose any exposure index. I don't know what he shot, right? So, but it's a little bit of a who knows what. So I went down here into like the 6400, 12500 range, and ended up going with, for like 72 degrees, sort of in this pocket down here, for 12 minutes. So a little more than 6400. Okay, let's see what we got. This time I just wanted to show a little bit more about sort of how I start my scanning off for people who are curious. So I've got the Veloy 35 and I'm tethered, and I'm just going to pop a first image. Okay, I see somebody, maybe all you can eat. I think they're on a surfboard, maybe on the I think they're on a surfboard. Okay, so the first thing I'll do is on the very first frame is just crop in a little bit, right? Something like that, right? And this is gonna be the same crop that'll apply to everything going forward. And then I'm gonna have to narrate here because you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm gonna turn on the black and white mode in Capture One, and then I'm gonna use the levels tool, and I'm gonna invert. Right, I'm gonna grab the white point and basically flip it to the black point. Take the black point, flip it to the white point. Okay, and then the last thing I'm going to do, there's just a little bit of a vignette on the EZ35. So I'm just going to counter it. And that gets me a pretty neutral scan there. Okay. And then I just want to come in at 100% and check the grain, right? Not his focus. I'm checking the grain, and the grain looks sharp. And then as I scan, so I'm going to go on to number 2. Right. Oh, man. It's interesting that the frame here came up a little bit. I don't know, I might scan one more before I make an adjustment to the crop. All right, I'm seeing an underwater body. And I'm not going to edit these yet. I'm going to just kind of start the scanning process. And then, on the camera, I'm using the an exposure preview where I can see the highlight clipping. And I'm basically just exposing just underneath where I start to clip highlights in the usable frame. So I'll go to the next one. Right, those things that start to clip are basically going to be my black shadows. Now, I say that because this is a picture that turned out, right? This picture turned out. It could be done, and it looked, I was a little worried that we were going to get 36 pictures of the dark ocean here. All right, let's get a few more. I am curious to see well, a couple things. I'm noticing that his negative seems to be just a little higher than what I'm used to. I don't know what camera he used, right? But if I look where the negative is, sorry, where the image is on the negative, it is like a little bit closer to one side of the sprocket hole, like one edge than the other. So it's a little higher than I'm used to. So something about the camera he's using. Right, and again, this looks dark, but like quickly with just like some level tools, we could start to see what this is maybe going to look like after an edit. It's going to be tricky editing the shadows because it's going to be so right when you start to kind of bring down right that shadow, the shadows are going to start to look noisy, right? Noisy, and so it's tempting to want to crush them, but if you crush them too fast, the subject's going to get crushed too. These negatives are pretty thin, right? So, right, this one, you can kind of see like almost all the exposure info is in, right, this, oh, you can't see my histogram, the right half of the histogram, which tells me this was, right, basically an underexposure. All right, let's scan a couple more, and then I'm gonna hit pause, and I'll scan the rest of the roll. But I just wanted to kind of show you how I get started. Okay, could be a shark. Not sure. Now this is 2 in a row. Look at this. I had this, and then I had this. Although it's not in the same spot, so I don't know what that is. It might be reflection off of somebody's like life jacket or something. Let's get one more. Yeah, what are these lines? I think he is surfing. Man. I don't know much about, I've never been surfing. Oh wow, look at all these, like, is it also raining? Is it maybe it's the splashes? Oh, I know what it is. He's using a flash, and the flash is bouncing off of splashed water, and he's moving. Oh, what's causing that shape? I'm thinking about his flash sync speed, but that shouldn't matter. Aliens? Oh. All right, one more, and then I'm just gonna hit pause and scan the rest. Nice. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I went ahead and scanned the rest of the roll, so let's just quickly take a peek. And I haven't done any edits other than just scanning them in, right? So a lot of them are dark, right? I'm gonna guess, and you can see that the negatives were so thin that I had a hard time telling exactly where the edge of the negative was when I was scanning. Right, I think he probably, right, he's using his flash sync speed, shooting wide open, and it's just all about whether or not the flash can light things up well enough. I think, once I edit, right? Some of these are gonna look good, but I kind of wish I had maybe developed even harder. I mean, that's gonna be an awesome shot if you can just bring out a little bit more detail in his hair. Oh yeah. I mean, my first, reaction is like, oh, these are. It's like I wish there was more exposure, or a stronger flash, or I developed more. It'll be interesting to see what I can do editing. Oh man, that would have been a good one, right? We'll see. Let's just take a peek real quick. Right, it's going to be hard to bring up those tones on these two guys without making the background look bad. But do a little dodge and burn. Maybe I should have been a surfer. And again, these mystery lights, I mean, I don't know if it's somebody that uses like, these like water casings might have a better understanding of what's causing those. That's kind of cool, actually. It's interesting how these like line. It's always in a line, and now they're squiggly. Oh man, I like that. I like the shape of the splatter. Oh man, I mean, it's pretty good. This one's pretty good how it is, but if it hit focus a little better. Yeah, I don't know if he's using. I would guess he's using manual focus. Yeah, this one sort of confuses me though, because like, look how strong that flash is. Here, his friend, I assume he knows these people, is a lot further away than most of these pictures, but yet that flash is doing the job. So I don't know. I don't know if he has his flash turned to full power on every shot, or if he's adjusting the power, or if it's auto adjusting, or. But like even here, it looks right. That flash doesn't look as strong as like that flash. All right, that's the roll. So I'm gonna hit pause again, and I'm gonna do my best to do some editing. All right, I'm back after a first round of edits. My wife walked in while I was doing this. She was like, "Oh, cool." she didn't mind checking out some dude surfing. Which, now that I think about it, it's like these are guys surfing at night in the ocean with a camera. I'm gonna start back here real quick. Yeah, so now that I'm right, what I'm up against with a lot of these is that I'm right on the edge of with shadows, right? There's just hardly anything in these shadows, and so it's hard to separate any tones cleanly. Also, when you're working with a negative that's this thin, it's easy for dust to show up very easily. But let me put all that aside. I like this shot, right? This is, I mean, other than it's has a little bit of like a, right, you're in his in close proximity, right? But I think it's still a cool shot. I also sort of like, this is this grain looks pretty good too. Remember, this is like 3200, which is what? It's like an 800 speed film that you're pushing, right? And we're pushing this pretty darn far. That's a solid shot too. And I haven't cropped this one at all, right? That's like the full frame. That's a good one. Right, and this is just like a first round of edits. But I can see here, right here, I'm trying to get his tones to pull out, but you can tell I'm so like right on the edge that I'm starting to bring out the blacks. You know, I can go in there and kind of finely work those, but you know, I sort of want to look at all the images and see which ones, you know, are worth spending extra time on. That would be a good candidate if it had a little more exposure. You know, in some extent, this is just a set, right? It's like we don't need to find like the one or two best. Like it's a fun night out for these guys, and it'll be cool to look at these as a group. Yeah, I like the way that, you know, he's got the surfboards coming up into the picture, right? And like, which makes me wonder, like, how close is he? What lens is this? This almost feels like a wide-angle lens, and he's pretty close. Which is maybe a good strategy here, right? Is to be knowing you want to be close, but not just like 50 millimeter shots of people's faces, like to go wide angle. So I'm thinking like a wide angle lens, like a fast 28, right? A 28 f2 lens or something. I don't know if that's what this is, but that might be a good strategy for this type of photography. Or shoot, why not a 28 1.4? And I like these ones where the hands start to come out and pop with some highlights too. Now I tried to work his hair a little bit. It was right. It's like I want his hair to be there, but it was tough to work with it. And I almost like this one a little better, right? Where his hair is like in his face. I'll probably come back and work on that one again. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. You know, there's two here, and this one we got a little dark back here and had a hard time bringing him out. This one he's just a little bit closer, right? That distance, it's amazing how much that distance matters with a flash. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, even though, like, you know, he's a little dark back here, right? It's right, the hand there sort of makes it, right? And you feel close, you feel the surfboard, you feel like you're in the ocean. I'm going to be interested to hear about these streaks of light. I don't know what they are. I mean, this one's like, yeah, I'm impressed that, you know, I guess, you know, compared to my expectations of this film, the grain is finer than I thought it would be, right? So let's go into 100%. Right. Yeah, I followed the recipe for like 3200, 6400. That's pretty fine. This would have been a good one. I mean, it is a good one, but I wonder what. Now look at this. This is two different types of. This is like something either on his camera or flash or something. But this looks like my hair or something. I might get rid of that one. And all these would be easy to get rid of if you didn't want them. But I'm gonna leave them in there. Now this one I like that shape. And there, look, there's some like, this is a splash of somebody maybe falling off their surfboard or something. I like the shape. I like that diagonal. I wish that it was a little more obvious. I mean, you can tell it's a person. Yeah, I kind of like that shot. Yeah. And even though he is out of focus here, I like this one too. I mean, I have no idea how he's trying to focus. I would guess zone focus, a wide angle lens. Or maybe he's, yeah, I don't know. And I like this one. Did I crop this at all? I did crop this one a little bit. I like that, like grabbing his hair. Right. Yeah, and this one's cool. And this just has me. Yeah, I wonder if it's because he's Graham is like standing up a little bit, just like giving the flash more room to not just project, but maybe even reflect off the water or something. It seems so much stronger in that shot. All right, so I'm gonna go through one more time and pick out some favorites and just do a little more touch up. All right, I'm gonna do one thing off script here. I'm going to edit one photo for you just in case somebody's curious about like, oh, how is he editing? So I picked one that I thought wasn't too hard, but right. So this was the scan. And so, right, easy stuff, just like come in here and clean up a little, distracting, maybe dirt or imperfections in the negative. That's the only one I saw here. And now I'm going to use the levels tool to move the white point. And now I want to try to separate the shadows just a tiny bit. So, all right, I've got one slider here that moves like a larger chunk of shadows, and then I'm gonna open them up, and then I'm gonna use another slider that just moves the very tail bit of shadows. So like I'm just trying to separate out the shadows just a tiny bit. Now I'm gonna come to there's a circular vignette. I'm just going to increase that just a little bit. There's nothing really out there on the edge that I'm that concerned with. Then I'm going to just adjust the macro contrast to the whole image just a little bit. Okay. Now, at this point, right, you can see the kind of the black background got it's still a little too bright. So I'm going to just trying to tuck in that black point just ever so carefully. I'm going to go just a tad too far. Now I'm going to get into the layers tool, and I'm going to get myself a brush. And let's start with I'm just painting on a little bit of a mask here. And I'm going to use the curve tool to just move the white point a little bit. You see I'm just kind of brightening him some. And then I'm going to fine tune the contrast and move the midpoint just a little bit. All right, that's pretty good. You know, I kind of have to decide, do I like a little bit of grain in the black, or do I want to just crush it? So that's, let me look here. So this is my first quick edit. This one, right, I kind of opened up the water a little more. And underneath here. You can kind of, so I don't know, I think I went too far on the first one, but I might just open these up a little bit more. Just to give a little more presence of the water. And the underside of that surfboard. And then I do think I'm just going to, again, get myself a brush where I can kind of just tuck in, bring down these values a little bit more. All right, something like that. Okay. All right, so I think I'm kind of down to the last bunch here. Ended up being 20 because I think it's like a night out with your friends, and you need a series here. But I'm going to go through them one more time now that I've done basically final edits, and just a little more commentary on which ones I really liked and maybe why. I like this one a lot, but whatever, a little silly. I really like this one. Yeah. Really like this one. I like the way the surfboard comes all the way across, his hand in the water. Right. Good. I like this one. Right. The big splash, the hands, the face. I like the way this one has like the wave, like it makes you feel like you're in the water. That's a nice like sideways glance, right? Again, the surfboard coming all the way across. Yeah, I like that one. I mean, I gotta not just say I like this one, but that's kind of what I'm gonna do. In terms of like tips, right? I don't know if I have any other than like he's already shooting basically the fastest film he's got. I don't know. I'm sure he's shooting as wide open as he can. With a wide angle lens, and it's like, and he, using the most powerful flash he can, right? If anything, I don't know if there's any room to use a more powerful flash, but or a faster lens. There's definitely a lot of room for more exposure to be getting to the film. That one's cool. That one. Yeah. Yeah, I like how, again, this. I like how the these like accentuating streaks sort of like fit the shape. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. Now this one ended up being one of my favorites. It's like, and I think it's because that surfboard is like coming at me, right? You really get the sense that he's like, paddling, or like, right? You just, the feeling comes through on that one. All right. Final thoughts. It was fun to get this role of like, I've never shot P3200. I've never been surfing. I've never been surfing at night. Right? um, and then sort of like, what do I think about this film? I actually think it's pretty good. I'd probably shoot it as more of like an 800 or a 1600. Again, the developer here was this was undiluted Xtol at 72 degrees for 12 minutes. And I even like towards the end, I wasn't agitating as much, right? Trying to give the shadows a little more of a chance. Yeah, added another minute or two, but without adding additional agitation. So, okay. Just a final thank you to Graham for the role, and also to Royal We Film Lab and OneLot Film Company for the sponsorship. And it might be a little bit between now and my next episode. I've got jury duty. So, all right, take care.